There are many people in defence who work extremely hard to bring about good capability. But what we have seen over too many years is that there are pressures that either lead to risk not being assessed at all or not being assessed by people who are qualified to do so, and therefore decisions that are not made on a basis of an accurate understanding of technical and schedule risk, not only to safety but also to operational effectiveness. And thirdly, and I think possibly the worst case, is where the ADF does have qualified test agencies who do an assessment and make an adverse finding, those reports are sometimes set aside or proactively dismissed or challenged with alternative unqualified reporting to give a project manager or a capability group the opportunity to still progress the project in accordance with the schedule that they wish. And that has a significant impact, sometimes on safety and often on capability. And through the inquiry into this bill, we received a number of submissions, some public, some in camera, which went into some detail about the fact that this is not only historic, with things like the Sea Sprite, one of the worst procurement failures probably in Australia's history, where this kind of deliberate ignoring of technical advice was at the root of that failure. But there are some projects that are quite current that had the same characteristics. And that's despite a number of ANAO reviews and parliamentary reviews into Defence's test and evaluation, which has resulted in a flurry of new process. There is so much process you could exceed the weight margins of a future frigate with the extra paperwork that's been generated. But what we see is that it's not applied consistently, it's not resourced, and even where it is applied, it's often not listened to, which is the purpose of this bill, to provide for the fact that assessment of risk will be done by people who are qualified to do so, they will be suitably resourced, and that their reports will be transparently available not only to the capability managers in the project, but to the senior decision-making committees in Defence, importantly also to the Minister for Defence and therefore the National Security Committee of Cabinet, and to an Oversight Committee appropriately tailored in terms of the disclosure of information, so that there can be a transparent understanding across all levels of decision-making as to what risks are and whether they are acceptable or whether they need to be managed, or in some cases whether projects should be cancelled. Those are important things to get right, and this bill seeks to do that. And I would welcome the government considering, and the government has acknowledged, Defence has acknowledged there are problems in this system, there are things that need to be rectified. The internal reform efforts that have been attempted in Defence under both sides of politics for a couple of decades have not proven to be effective or sustainable. And so I think the approach that's been taken by our allies in the US of creating an independent statutory body that doesn't duplicate, actually utilises to better effect available existing resources and grows new resources that are competent and capable for the job, at a time when global circumstances indicate that the risk of conflict is greater now than at any time since World War II. If there is ever a time where we need to make sure that every dollar spent is spent effectively, every month spent procuring, training, operating is spent effectively, now is that time. And that's why there's been time management applied to this bill today, so that it is brought to a vote, that it can move from here to the House. And I would encourage the government to look at this seriously in the House as to how we move forward and rectify a long-standing problem that has degraded both the operational effectiveness and the safety of defence equipment, and in far too many cases has cost the taxpayer unnecessary billions of dollars in waste, where risks and technical issues were identified early but disregarded because people didn't want their project to be derailed. So this is an important bill.
So a report from the Committee of the Whole. The Committee has considered the Defence Capability Assurance and Oversight Bill 2023 and agreed to it with amendments. Senator Fawcett.
I move that the report of the committee be adopted.
I put the question that the report be adopted. Those that opinion say aye. Those against? The ayes have it. Senator Fawcett.
I move that the bill be read a third time.
So the question is that the bill be read a third time. Those that opinion say aye. Those against? No. The ayes have it. The ayes have it.